Hey guys, welcome back to the R Squared Fantasy Football Podcast. We're back this week. It's a great Tuesday. We've got some news to go over. We're your hosts. I'm Ian. You can find me on Twitter at dynasty_IM.
I'm Akash. You can find me on Twitter at YZR_fantasy. All right. Next up, we got the my boy Matt Ryan. It's all I've known with Falcons football. I was born in 2002, and he was drafted in 2008. I literally do not remember anything before Matt Ryan. I don't remember anything about Falcons football before Matt Ryan was drafted, and so seeing him go kind of hurts. But I know it's something that the team had to do. But him in Indianapolis should be good.
Yeah.
Upgrade from Carson Wentz and Michael Pittman. I still think he's a sell, but this helps his situation a bit, and he can continue to compile targets. I don't know if they're going to bring in another receiver. I've seen them, what's it called, like couch GMs saying Julio Jones would be awesome on the Colts reuniting with Matt Ryan. That could be fun, but it would definitely cap Michael Pittman a little bit because Julio Jones, when he plays, is a really good receiver.
Yeah, and like you said about Michael Pittman Jr. being a sell, I don't think this necessarily changes all that much for Michael Pittman. Yeah, Carson Wentz isn't a great quarterback, but he wasn't hindering Michael Pittman when it came to getting targets down the field because a 10 ADOT's decently high. That's working downfield. He got his targets. His TD rate for Michael Pittman was like 4, which is pretty normal. Like, it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. So I think bringing in Matt Ryan in terms of Michael Pittman to him specifically, I don't think it's a huge upgrade, a huge down, anything like that. I think it's a pretty lateral. Like, it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
As far as how I view Michael Pittman.
Then Jonathan Taylor's pretty linear too. It's a pretty linear move in terms of like fantasy outlook and team outlook. Like if the Colts, basically.
Yeah, and I think Matt Ryan's better. Like Matt Ryan's better quarterback. Like if I was choosing between last year and this year, if I didn't know how either turned out, I would choose this year to be the better Colts offense, just because Matt Ryan's a better quarterback than Carson Wentz.
Yeah, not substantially better, but he is better.
Yeah, well, the Colts will take their wins.
Yeah,
even if they're small.
Maybe this time they won't lose to the Jaguars and they'll actually make the playoffs.
But, we can hope.
But it's not a lot of change there.
No, and I think more of the change comes on the Falcons side, personally. Yeah. Matt Ryan is someone who's, despite his fantasy value and like all that stuff, he's been a good quarterback. Because, yeah, he doesn't run the ball, which in fantasy, you kind of need to run the ball.
Unless you throw like 40 times a game like Tom Brady.
Yeah, and Matt Ryan, the Falcons let him throw a decent amount, and he like if we look at his PFF passing numbers, like they're solid even in year 14 for him, where he's getting older, clearly, like as we know. Still last year's 82.1, 76.3, like those are solid numbers on decent volume. Like they're still throwing 36, 37 times a game. So that's one thing we hope the Falcons continue to do is throw the ball a decent amount, because guys like Kyle Pitts is someone who we want to catch the ball a decent amount. But I guess I'll ask you, since I kind of already know my answer, but how much does Matt Ryan leaving Atlanta affect how you view Kyle Pitts?
In Dynasty, no change at all. It's just, I'm not really paying that much attention to the quarterbacks there. Marcus Mariota, he'll be good as like a spot starter for your Dynasty teams if you got him cheap. He rushes the ball well, and he's a okay, mediocre passer, but he's not a long-term guy. I think they'll eventually draft someone in 2023, if not 2022. I think it's more likely 2023, but he's Marcus Mariota is going to be a bridge guy, so I'm not downgrading Kyle Pitts at all, or like hit the panic button because a one-year starter wasn't a good passer during his time in Tennessee 3-4 years ago. It's not something I care about that much.
Yeah, and it still wheels up for Kyle Pitts in my head.
I love Kyle Pitts. He has people aren't gonna like his value isn't gonna crumble if he isn't like top 1 this year, because people aren't like expecting him to be top 1. So it'll be fine. People have high expectations in Dynasty, but from a 1-year perspective, people aren't gonna panic if Marcus Mariota doesn't make this offense efficient and high volume, and Pitts isn't like really productive. Like we expect touchdown numbers to go up just because he had 1 touchdown last year. But even so, Pitt's dynasty stock will be fine, and I still like him a lot.
Yeah, and especially when we talk in dynasty, when they're this young, it's more just their talent alone kind of
Yeah,
dictates what their value is
yeah,
because they're young. And if their peripherals or talent's really good, like look at a guy like DJ Moore, who's still pretty young, who doesn't have a wide receiver one season, but his peripherals are really good. He's just been on bad offenses. There's going to be a point where, say, things don't get better and he's 27, 28.
yeah.
Like, they'll treat him like Terry McLaurin is now.
Mhm.
But that's another thing. Terry McLaurin, he's been stuck in terrible situations, and his value is still pretty solid for being about to be 27 without a wide receiver one season.
He's only had one top 24 season, and people still love him.
Yeah, because he's just really good. So that's kind of the thing with Kyle Pitts. You don't have to worry about that floor or anything because we have a really good idea that Kyle Pitts is really, really good. But like the thing you said about Mariota coming in, yeah, he's not as good as Matt Ryan. We're hoping that the Falcons stay around that like high-ish pass volume, like not just plummet to the ground where they're not throwing a ton, because that's the part we're worried about. Because the offensive efficiency as a whole, yeah, it'll probably go down in general, but for Pitts in this specific situation, he caught one touchdown last year. I don't think Matt Ryan leaving is going to be the difference between him catching 1 and 0 touchdowns. Like the offensive efficiency, and personally to Pitts, isn't something I'm concerned about.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
I mean, I went from sadly, I have like my DJ Moore shares stacked up, my Michael Thomas and my Kyle Pitts, and they're already. And then I'm expecting a little boost from them, maybe a little quarterback change, a little offensive efficiency right up, and kind of throw me for a curveball. Wants to help out Amari Cooper's value, but it's the free agent variance, right?
Right. I'm just a man standing in front of free agency variance, asking it to benefit my fantasy teams.
And in this situation, it didn't exactly do that.
No. We win some, we lose some. Sometimes you end up with Connor and Fournette re-signing with their teams, and then we expect more RB1 production, and sometimes you end up with DJ Moore having another season of Sam Darnold. I guess it's looking like. Maybe the draft will leave. Who knows?
I don't think it's just us, too. I don't know how many people that I talk to or just talk to in general like, yes, all my fantasy options on the Browns are going through the roof. I'm pretty sure the one person that was excited about it was, yes, I can finally flip Amari Cooper.
Maybe. I know some people are still holding on to the delusions of grandeur that this is the year he's going to break out, guys. The year he finally puts it all together. This is the first time.
This is the year Amari Cooper is going to stop being Amari Cooper.
That's right. Listen, if Cooper Kupp can do it, Amari Cooper can do it. No, don't think like that.
I'm pretty sure I can quick look right here, but also if they were to say that, I'm pretty sure Amari Cooper's highest target share is not going to be as high as Cooper Kupp's highest target share pre-last year.
Pretty sure his highest pre-last year was 22%.
For Amari Cooper?
For Kupp.
Yeah, you'd be right.
I'm
We're about to compare and see.
All right, let's compare.
Let's see. Yeah, you're right. 22.4 would be his highest, which still makes me right because that's higher than Amari Cooper's highest.
Not substantially. So I know.
No, we're talking like 0.0 or 0.3%. Like we're not talking.
Yeah, it's no, that's Cooper Kupp's generally going to be the outlier.
Yeah, unfortunately, too, with Cooper Kupp, you're like, yes, we got the coveted fifth year breakout. If you're hoping that same thing for Amari Cooper, I don't know off the top of my head how many year 8 breakouts there have been, but I'd be willing to bet it's below 5.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the closest, off the top of my head, the closest I can think of is Julian Edelman having his first wide receiver 1 season in year 11.
And I think the other thing we have to remember is Julian Edelman wasn't as good as Amari Cooper. He was terrible.
Yeah.
Julian Edelman was actually so bad. If anyone was curious, he's the only person that shows up in Denzel Mims' Rue.
That's good? Like the only hit that happened, or the only?
No, the only other player in Denzel Mims' Rue.
Damn.
Is
like
Julian
year 2 range of outcomes?
Yeah, well, I do it together, but after his second year. Julian Edelman's the only one standing.
That's because Julian Edelman was a round 7 quarterback who they transitioned to wide receiver. And so he took some time to break out.
Which says what about Denzel Mims?
Unless he still learning the position of football, I doubt that. Unless he's still learning the position of wide receiver, I doubt that this is going to be Denzel Mims taking a Julian Edelman route to success.
Yeah, and when like you said, the only person left in Denzel Mims' room after 2 years is someone who was a round 7 quarterback prospect.
Yeah,
It's probably not Wheels Up.
that's right. He has the worst. Julian Edelman has one of the worst scores. Like if any prospect model you come across, yours, Drew's, Peter Howard, anyone who models wide receivers, the worst wide receiver that's going to show up is Julian Edelman because he had one career catch in college because he was a quarterback for Kent State.
I'm like my number grades, which I don't usually like show or anything like that. His was actually a negative before I just made like 0 the bottom, like bottom baseline 0.
What the heck? That's hilarious, actually. I love
Yeah,
it.
I actually couldn't tell you off the top of my head how that's possible, but it was with Julian Edelman.
I don't know. Do they get You subtract this simple rating system for the division because it's the MAC, and then round 7 subtract that, and then the dominator over average is at the floor, and then I bet his Raz isn't too good either, and so that's how you end up with a negative score.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say he was probably not a prospect we were taking our shots on.
Nah, definitely not. It's funny though.